Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And on today's podcast, we are going to be talking about something that has been plaguing me for 25 years plus. And I don't know what happened, but I finally had an aha moment and I figured it out. And ever since I figured this out, my whole life has changed in so many ways. And I am going to share it with you today. And it is about being the lighthouse versus the lifeboat. Okay. Oh, man. When you listen to this, and if you are a empath and you are a loving, kind soul and you deeply desire every day of your life to wake up and serve and give value and just love on people and help them, even if they didn't ask you to, okay? You want to just put your 2 cents in there at all times because you think you're being a nice person, but it's actually not being nice. It's actually being very selfish. And let me tell you a little bit about this concept. So, years ago, I read this book, and I think the book is called Light is the New Black, if I'm not mistaken. This is many, many years ago. And I loved this book. It was probably in the first part of my real, true spiritual awakening. And one of the chapters was talking about being the lighthouse. So it was very interesting to me. I was like, "Oh, what does this mean? This is very interesting." And it said, the story goes, so think about it. You're a lighthouse. You're just foundationally plugged in to rocks, and your light is shining out into the ocean, and the ships are seeing the light, right? The ships in the water are seeing the light, and some of the ships are going to follow that light, and they're going to find their way to safety, right? They're going to dock in the port, and they're gonna dock unscathed, right? They're not gonna have any issues, and then there's gonna be boats that see the lighthouse that are going to get lost at sea, and there are boats on the water that see the lighthouse, and they may just ignore the lighthouse. They may ignore the rocks, and they may end up hitting rocks, fucking up their boat, and winding up somewhere derelict on a beach, stranded. Okay. Now, all that being said, because I'm painting this picture for you, all that being said, think about, does the lighthouse run around the island and say, like, "Yo, ships, come over here. Like, I'm over here. I'm going to help you. Just follow my light." And does it like go side to side and freak out and try to like pull the ships up to where they're supposed to be? Or does the fucking lighthouse just stand in all of its majesty, just shining its light, doing its singular job, and whomever is supposed to docks safely, and whatever boat is supposed to just crash up against the shore is supposed to do that, because that's in that boat's life contract. And are some boats going to totally ignore the lighthouse and get lost at sea? Abso-fucking-lutely. This has been going on since we became seafaring people, which was tens of thousands of years ago. And when I listened to this book, I read this book. I have it on audio and I also have it a physical copy. But when I was reading this book and I heard and read these words, like, it definitely sunk in. I definitely understood the concept. But I didn't realize up until maybe just a couple of months ago that I was being the lighthouse that was running all over the island trying to save everyone, instead of just knowing I have this one singular job that God put me here on earth to do, and the right boats, i.e. people, clients, friends, etc., are going to find me, and the ones that aren't meant for me will not. And both things are okay. So then about a month ago, I was doing an event at my studio, KBMFC Wellness, and it was a autumn equinox event, and it was all about, we're reaping what we sowed. We are harvesting all of the beauty, all of the creations, etc. And I don't know how we got on it, but somehow, I don't know where this came from, but I said to the girls, one of the things that I'm working on is I'm working on being the lighthouse and not the lifeboat. And I almost like, ever get like impressed with yourself when you say something, you're just like, oh my God, where did that come from? And I knew it was coming from God. I knew that I was doing my work and that God was preparing me to level up. And I knew that the only way that I was going to go to the next level and create more happiness, joy, freedom, abundance, etc. in my life was to just be that lighthouse. I have been in this industry for 25 years. I'm an elder in this community. I have helped tens of thousands of people, women mostly, achieve their goals, dreams, and aspirations through using my tools through Ambitious and KBMC Wellness and the podcast and the book and all the things. And I started saying to myself, like, I must not trust myself as a coach because if I'm trying to be if I'm trying to be the lifeboat and I'm trying to pull everyone on that boat, come on, guys, get on the lifeboat. I'm going to save you. Instead of just being the lighthouse and shining the light and giving those people the tools that they need to go to the next level in their lives, then I'm being a fucking jerk off. And when I said this, it was like this beautiful aha moment. And it was so funny because all the ladies in the class were like, oh my God, Katie, that's so good. And I was like, okay, I got to do a podcast about this. So I am going to walk you through some pretty intense shit today. But if you're like me, and especially if you're in the service industry in some way, shape, or form, and you are just trying to do all of the work for your clients, whether you are an esthetician and you are trying to heal people's skin without their knowledge, meaning they come in for their facials, you give them their aftercare, you give them their product to use, and they know exactly what they have to do. And they know that in a month or whatever, a couple of weeks, they're going to come back to you for another facial and you're going to their skin's going to keep getting better and better. You cannot go and police this person and make sure that they wash their makeup off at night, that their pillowcase is clean, that, they are washing their face after they work out and sweat, that they're wearing sunscreen or whatever you as an esthetician give them as like the protocol. And it's the same thing with me as a health and wellness coach and a motivational speaker and someone who truly has given people tools for 2+ decades. I started realizing like I can just give them the tools and I have to be the role model for them. So like when I'm working out, when I'm eating properly, when I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep, when I'm taking my supplements, when I am doing the thing, I'm doing it not only for myself, but I'm doing it to inspire others. But I'm not holding these people's hands and saying, you have to do exactly what I want you to do and what I do because I know it works. They have to figure that out on their own. And part of growing and part of evolving and ascending in this world is knowing that you cannot use the tools for the person. So, for example, if you have a toolbox and you have to bang a nail in the wall, are you going to use a Phillips head screwdriver to do so? No, you're going to use a fucking nail and a hammer. And when you give people those tools in their toolbox, they have to figure out on their own which tool is appropriate for what job. You cannot force them to use the tool of your choice. You just have to say, here's your tools. I taught you how to use them. Now it's up to you. So, how do you know? This is the first part of our podcast today. This is like a fucking masterclass. This podcast, I promise you, is going to change your life. And if you know people out there that are like being the lifeboat and not the lighthouse, send them this podcast. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you don't want to see them doing this any longer because it's hurting them. It's really just like self-flagellation. It's just like taking the whip and whipping yourself all the damn day. And you wonder why you're burnt out and you have no gumption and determination and you're just like a sad sack of shit. It's because probably you're trying to do the work for everyone else around you instead of just giving them the tools and being the good role model for them. That's it. So how do we know, first off, How do we know if we're being the lighthouse or if we're being the lifeboat? So I did a whole deep dive into this when I figured this out, and these are the things that I came up with. And I came up with them because these are the things that I have been doing. These are the mistakes that I have been making over the last probably 20 years. And I just had this aha moment. I just had this epiphany, and I will not go back, because going back to the old way is like taking a dump in your hand and trying to shove that turd back up in your ass. You're only going to have a big old mess on your hands. Okay. It's never going to go in the way it came out. Okay. So let's not be a poopy pants. Let's be a role model. Let's be a lighthouse. So the first thing is, how do you know if you're doing this? How did I know? So the first thing, and you have to ask yourself, are you being reactive or are you being proactive? So if you're being the lifeboat, which is bad, right? It's bad when you're being the lifeboat. You respond only if there is a problem or a crisis occurring. And you offer your rescue, but not the prevention. So an example of that could be if a manager, and a lot of you out there are managers. So if you as a manager only step in when your employee makes a mistake rather than providing guidance to prevent errors beforehand. This is one of my biggest things, right? I wait and sometimes until it's too late. And then I'm like, oh God, this person now have to fix their shit. No, it's like provide the prevention. Say to them, hey, I know because I've done this before. If you do it this way, it's going to help you so much more. It's going to be so much more lucrative. It's going to give you so much more of the things that you desire over, the stress that's going to come along with it if a crisis does occur in the business or the family or the relationship or whatever, right? The second way that we are the lifeboat over the lighthouse is we provide short-term relief only. What do I mean by that? So if you're being the lifeboat, that means you're focusing on immediate aid without addressing underlying issues. So here's an example. So offering temporary financial help to someone in debt without helping them develop long-term financial plans. So let's just say you have a parent who's having some financial difficulties, or you have a friend who's having financial difficulties, and you see them doing crazy shit. You see them being like, yo, you're having some financial problems. Like, you're not saving your money. You're not putting your money into an S&P 500 stock account. You have no rainy day fund, right? You have no emergency fund. You are buying a bunch of shit on credit cards that you shouldn't be buying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fill in the blank with the poor financial decisions, right? So instead of saying to them, hey, like, I've noticed lately that you've been doing this thing. Can you just let me know if you need me to help you with your financial acumen? That is so much better for them than them coming to you and being like, "Hey, can I borrow $50,000 because I have, like, loan sharks trying to kill me?" And I've had this happen to me in my past with people that I've grown up with, friends of mine, etc., that have come to me after really poor financial decisions and asking me to help them out financially or give them a loan. And like, I know for a motherfucking fact, if I give them that money, I am never going to see it again. I'm not a ding-a-ling. Okay. But wouldn't I have been a better friend or coworker, colleague, sister, whatever, if when I saw the bad behavior happening in real time, that I just was like, yo, I can help you with this if you want it. You don't say like, hey, this is what you need to do. You say to them, hey, I'm really good at this thing. I'm really great with my finances. I would love to help you if you're open to it. Because in the long run, because you may be the rich bitch friend, that person's going to ask you for money down the road. So wouldn't you be better off helping them with their long-term financial plans over, just giving them this Band-Aid? And then I know for a fact, because I've loaned people money before, that you're never going to see it again. And it's actually going to make your relationship fall apart. and the person's going to stop being your friend. They're going to dodge you, not because they don't love you, because they had no plans on paying you back in the first place. And they would rather end the friendship than be out 10, 15, whatever, how many thousands of dollars or whatever that you lent them. So that's another way that I in the past have been the lifeboat over the lighthouse. And now when I see something going down a bad path, I call people to the carpet. I offer my help, my services, etc., but I don't push it on upon them. But let me tell you something. If I offer you my service and my help and you don't take it, don't fucking come and ask me for money. Don't you goddamn dare. Because the answer will be a capital N with a capital O. No. And it's a complete motherfucking sentence. Okay. The third way that we, as empaths, as loving, kind humans, show up as lifeboat over the lighthouse is we avoid leadership and we avoid inspiration. What do I mean by that? So if you're acting as the lifeboat, you're going to act as a rescuer rather than a source of motivation and direction. So what's an example of that? A teacher, maybe you're a teacher, and I have lots of teachers who listen to the Ambitious podcast. Thank God for you guys. But a teacher only grades papers without inspiring students to learn or grow, right? So like if all the class is getting Fs on their exams, you as the teacher might have to be like, yo, am I avoiding something? Am I not being a good leader? Am I not being motivational? Am I not being inspirational? You have to really check yourself. You have to really be honest with yourself. And I've done this before where I just expect people to get shit. I'm just like, come on, man, this is not hard. This is not fucking rocket science. Like, get it through your thick skull. But then I have to say to myself, if I expect everyone in the world to think and act and show up the way I do, I'm going to have a very, very, very disappointing life. So I know for a fact that God put me on this earth to be inspirational, to be motivational, to be that lighthouse for people and help them become leaders by myself be a great leader, and I'm not doing it, then I am slapping God in the face. And I don't want to do that because I do all things through God who strengthens me. And so I know my life contract. I know my definiteness of purpose. I know why I'm here. Then I need to do it the right way. The next thing that you know when you're showing up as the lifeboat and not the lighthouse is overprotectiveness. Oh my God, this is one of my worst things in the world. So if you're being the lifeboat over the lighthouse, you may try to keep others safe by shielding them from challenges, but that may hinder their growth. It's almost like, I'm an elder millennial. And I know that we were raised by a bunch of boomers. And by being raised by boomers, we were kind of like latchkey kids. We were kind of like, I remember being sick from school and like being really young and like warming food up on the stove and like doing adult things, right? And so a lot of you guys that listen to me here probably are my same age or around my same age. So you're like at home or wherever you are, shaking your head, like being like, yes, I get it, right? But then we as millennials, we were like, we are not going to do that to our children. We're going to raise them the right way. We're going to like be helicopter parents and literally wear their ass as like a hat. And then what happens is we shield these children so much because we don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to see them sad. We don't want to see them depressed or anxious or picked on. But then by us stepping in and always being their protector, we're not allowing them to have challenges and adversity in their lives so that they can grow and become future leaders, right? That's why now all these young kids that are Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all the little kids that are coming up even younger than that, we all talk shit about them. We're like, oh my God, they're such pussies. They're such like little bitches. They're little baby bitches. And it's like, do you think it's their fault? No, bitch, you did this to your children. You were the helicopter parent. You were the one that didn't want to ever see your kid cry. You wanted a gentle parent. You wanted to do all these things. And now look, your kid is pooping in a cat litter box in their high school. And they're furries because you just let them do whatever the fuck that they wanted to do. And you taught them that they were special. And it's like, no, sometimes the adversity, if not all the times, because I look back at my life and I say, where did I have the best learning lessons? It was when I was anxious and depressed and fucked up and broke and abused and scared and all the bad things. And it taught me, like, no one's coming to save me. I have to rise to the occasion. So when you are shielding your children, your spouse, your best friends, your coworkers, your clients, etc., from any adversity, you're hindering their growth. You're actually hurting them. And it's coming from a place of ego because you think for some reason that you know better and you don't. Because if you did, your kids wouldn't be shitting in a cat litter box at school. It's okay. The next one is number 5. How do you know that you're being the lifeboat and not the lighthouse? Well, you're an overprotective hoe. So when you're being the lifeboat, you keep others safe. Excuse me. You're dependent. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I already did that one. See, this is the problem. I got so fucked up on that one because I was talking about the shitting in the kitty litter box that I fucking lost my tits. Hold on. Let's go to the next one. Dependence on external solutions. If you're being the lifeboat, you ready? Here's the example. You provide help that sustains dependence instead of empowering independence. So here's a little example. A leader who fixes every problem for their team, preventing their team members from learning to solve problems themselves. How many times you see this? Like all of the time. So instead of you being a great leader and being like, okay, you do what you think is right, and then if I don't think it's right down the road, I'll let you know, but I want you to use your fucking noodle. You're giving them You're actually teaching them that they can trust themselves, right? So when you're always providing that help that's going to sustain that dependence over the independence, then what happens, and I don't know about you, but for me, I get so aggravated because I'm like, why is everybody sucking my titties dry? And why is everyone hanging off my butthole hairs like dingleberries instead of just doing the goddamn thing that they were hired to do? But then I have to look at myself and go, bitch, this is your fault. You are micromanaging them. You're nitpicking them. You are not letting them figure shit out on their own. And that's why you're an aggravated freak. And that's why you're paying all these people to do shit that you shouldn't even be paying them for because you're kind of doing it yourself. So what the fuck is your problem? The next one is focusing on crisis management. I cannot tell you how much I see this. It's really wild, and I do it myself, and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm getting better. But when you're being the lifeboat, you only react during emergencies and you ignore the bigger picture. Okay. So here's an example. A healthcare worker who only tends to immediate injuries without working on preventive health measures. How many doctors do you see? And I work with a lot of doctors. They don't do this, but I see this a lot in other doctors. Is instead of saying to the client or the patient, I guess, if you will, instead of saying to the patient, hey, in the last year you've gained 30 pounds. I think that we should talk about weight management. I think I want to talk to you about what you're eating. I want to talk to you about how you're moving your body. Are you getting enough sleep? What's your stress like? Because if you have a doctor who doesn't ask you how you're eating and what you're doing for movement and what your stress is like and those types of things, and they just give you medicine to just mask the problem, you don't have a doctor, you have a motherfucking drug dealer. So go find a different doctor because there's great physicians out there that are going to help you with preventative care. But I see this all the time. And then what happens is the person ends up with comorbidities and diabetes and all this shit, PCOS, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, fuck, now I have to give this person all this medication, which some doctors, like that because they get a kickback, probably. Just saying. But that's a problem. And how much do we do that in our own lives? Instead of focusing on like the prevention, we just go right straight to the crisis. And we do that in our homes with our children and our spouses and our significant others. We do that with our families, our coworkers, our friends, our colleagues, all the things, fill in the blank. And that is being the lifeboat because you're just trying to save people at that point instead of being like, hey, I'm a physician. I know my shit. Or, hey, I'm a nutritionist or I'm a personal trainer or I'm in the wellness field. I can help you. And all you do again is you be the good role model And maybe the doctor says like, well, what I do to stay in shape is like, I do cardio 4 days a week and I do resistance training and then I do yoga and I do breath work and meditation. And I'm making sure that I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates or starchy shit or like sugar, things like that. Like, how hard is that? You're not being the lifeboat at that point. You're just shining your light and you're like, hey, this is what I do. Maybe this is going to help you. And also just being a good role model. That's why if you follow me on Instagram at Katie Boyd Ambitious, make sure you spell it right. Every day I'm posting, I'm hydrating with my keto chow. I am, I'm weighing myself on my Hume. I am eating, my 5 meals a day and it's very low carb and I'm getting my fiber and I'm making sure that I get 1 gram of protein per ideal pound of muscle and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that I like want to be on social media all day, just like flicking my bean. I'm doing this because I know again that God put me here for a bigger reason. And it wasn't just to eat, sleep, piss, and fuck. It was for helping people become their best selves by me being the role model. And now that I'm an elder in the community of the wellness community, I'm focused more on being that role model. And if you listened to my couple podcasts ago with Michaela McLean, which was the Human Design podcast, and we talked about myself being that manifesting generator and having that role model hermit split, I didn't realize that about myself. I cannot tell people what to do. I cannot be the lifeboat. I have to be the role model, which is really being the lighthouse. And maybe that's why I also had that epiphany too, because I was working with Michaela so much. And, she was saying all these things to me and speaking all this victory into me. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I was doing all these things. I just thought that, hey, I'm a coach and I'm a trainer and I have to make shit happen. And it's like, no, all you have to do is be that role model and shine out your light. And the right people are going to get what they're going to pick up what you're putting down, right? The next thing is when you're being the lifeboat and not the lighthouse, you have a lack of vision or a lack of long-term planning. So when you're being the lifeboat, you act out of necessity rather than a grander vision. So here's a little example. An example of this could be an organization that only addresses current threats rather than innovating for future growth. This happens so much in my industry where like trainers and coaches and, gym owners will watch their competitors instead of just like innovating their own offerings and their own deliverables and making themselves so good at what they do that they can't be ignored and making themselves so good instead of like worrying about expanding and getting a bigger, fitness facility. It's like just pack that motherfucker and to make people so happy and create that beautiful community. And then maybe down the road, because you have such a need for your services, maybe then you can expand, maybe then you can franchise or license or whatever. But until then, you got to focus on being the best of what you do and focusing on the highest, grandest vision and version. And I teach this on the app and I teach this in my book and I teach this on here in the podcast, but becoming the highest, grandest vision and version of yourself, right? And really thinking big picture. One of my best traits, I think, and I've been told this by a lot of people who I respect, is you just are a visionary. It's almost like I can see things before they're going to happen. And maybe that's also my Aquarian nature because I can really pull myself out into the macro and see almost like what's going to come next before people can see it or feel it or touch it or etc. But that is so important. Don't focus on, the competition. Don't focus on, necessity. Focus on the grand vision. And that way you'll be the lighthouse, not only in your clients' lives or your friends and family's lives, but in your life, number one. And the next one is when you're being the lifeboat, not the lighthouse, you have empathy without empowerment. Oy, 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 oy. This one is good. So when you're being the lifeboat, you show concern and offer to help, but it doesn't foster the person's independence. So here's a little example. An example is maybe it's a counselor who listens to problems without helping the person develop coping strategies. It's actually one of the reasons why I do not like therapy, because most therapists, they have you relive the trauma, bring it up over and over and over again, and then ask you, well, how does that feel? It's like, not well, bitch, as Dorinda Medley would say, not well, bitch. Okay. when I coach people, whether it is in like a life coaching, healing, trauma kind of container, or when I help them with their fitness or their wellness, or I help them with their spiritual evolution, or one of my favorite things to do is help women in business, take their businesses to multiple six and even seven figures. What I do with them, and I was like, okay, here's the problem. Okay, listen. And then I'm like, this is what I have done in the past because I've also had that problem. Or here's some really great tools to use to get you out of this mess, or get you out of this feeling, or get you out of this hypnotic rhythm, or get you out of this financial problem, or gain more clients, or scale your business, or create an app, or whatever it is that I'm coaching them on. I don't just listen to people bitch and complain. I, as a coach and as someone who deeply cares, I always am giving people the tools to change their life in so many ways. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, because I really painted that picture for you. So you're probably, in the park walking with your baby in the carriage, or you're on the treadmill, or you're driving in your car to work, or wherever you are. Okay. I kind of painted that picture so you could really understand, like, oh, okay, this is what being a lighthouse is, and this is what being a lifeboat is. And now I want to kind of get into how to consistently show up as the lighthouse. So, what are we going to do? All right. So, here's what we're going to do. So, this is going to counteract everything that we just spoke about, all of the problems, all of the ways that we all are showing up as the lifeboat and not being the lighthouse. Okay. So, the first thing we're going to do to consistently be that lighthouse is we're going to lead with vision and purpose. We are going to focus on clear, inspiring vision that guides all of our actions, right? So, an example of this could be setting a goal to inspire and uplift others through your words and deeds rather than just reacting to situations, right? So, let's just say you're on a weight loss journey. And I'm not a big proponent on telling everybody what you do. Just be about it, don't talk about it. But sometimes it is nice when you're going on a fitness journey to share it with people. And I think also sharing it with people helps you stay consistent because you put yourself out there and now you're like, well, I got to do it because now it's on social media. Now everyone's watching what I'm doing. Okay. But when we do something like that, we're doing it from a clear, inspirational vision, and we're using that clear inspirational vision to always guide our actions. And you know, we're not just reacting to any old situation that comes across our desk. Okay. So that's the first thing. We're going to lead with vision. We're going to lead with purpose. The second way to be the lighthouse is to be a source of consistent guidance. So you're going to offer stability. You're going to offer direction, even when times are difficult. And an example of this could be acting as a calming, steady presence during stressful moments and providing reassurance and clarity. This is something that I tried to do diligently during the pandemic. It was one of the scariest times for all of us in our lives. It was so uncertain. I didn't know, if tomorrow we're just going to all croak. But I showed up and I was on my app going live 7 days a week. I was creating programs for people. I was working on their health, working on their wellness with them. And that is why the women that were, was with me during the pandemic on my app are still my clients to this day. Some of my clients have been here for 20 years. Yeah, that's crazy to say. But that just goes to show you who I am and how great I am at what I do and how I create these loyal relationships with people because they know I am going to be their biggest cheerleader, but I'm not going to do the work for them. So, being a source of consistent guidance. And I'm also here to tell you that one of the reasons why you, as a service provider or an entrepreneur or even a mom, okay, you are not being consistent with your messaging. You're not showing up consistently. You're not doing the thing that it takes to be the person you want to be every motherfucking day. And then you wonder why people aren't signing up for your programs. You wonder why people aren't hiring you. You wonder why your children don't trust you. They may have like a little avoidant attachment with you because you're not being consistent, and consistency is key, especially when you deeply desire to help people feel safe around you, whether it's a friendship, a relationship with where that's transactional, where you're coaching them or you're giving them a service or providing some kind of value to them, you have to be a continuous source of guidance and inspiration. And I cannot stress the word consistent more. Okay. Number 3, we're going to practice proactive support. So we're going to actually anticipate the needs and address challenges before they escalate. So an example of that is if you are a mentor, mentoring others before problems arise, sharing wisdom to help them navigate future difficulties. So don't wait for the problem to explode like a fucking bomb in your lap. If you see things going down a bad path, nip that shit in the bud way before it gets out of control, just by practicing that proactivity in whatever that relationship entails, whether it's business, fun, love, sex, etc. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to exemplify integrity and positive values. So we're going to live according to our highest principles, our highest morals, our highest values, and our highest ethics all of the time. Not some of the time, not when your pussy feels wet, not when your butthole is puckered. I'm talking about 24 fucking 7. You are going to stand in your power and you are going to be a role model. You are going to exemplify all of the beauty and the love and the wonder and the inspiration and the determination and motivation, etc. Fill in the blanks. Okay. So, an example of that is constantly demonstrating honesty, kindness, and perseverance, and inspiring others to follow suit. You're not going to grab them by the scruff of their neck and tell them, if you don't do this, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you, even though I would like to sometimes, and I have in the past. Okay. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't serve me and it's not serving the person that I'm helping or trying to help or attempting to help. Right. We have to be those role models in our lives for others, right? So don't talk about it, be about it. Don't tell me what you're going to do, just do it. And the more you fucking do it and do it and do it, the more trust that people are going to have for you. The more that people trust you, the more people are going to be loyal to you. The more loyal that you are to, the more loyal those people are to you, the more money you're going to make, the deeper your relationships are going to be, and just the more joyful and freedom-filled lives that you're going to experience. So the next one is we're going to inspire resilience and we're going to inspire hope. So we're going to encourage a growth mindset. So that's number 1. We're going to encourage resilience. We're going to encourage hope through our actions and through our attitudes. So an example of this is maybe sharing stories of overcoming adversity to motivate others to persevere, like what I do here on my podcast, what I do in my book, what I do on my app, what I do in all of my events. I am very open and honest from where I came from, my adversities. I don't beat around the bush. A lot of my family and a lot of people very close to me were very upset with me because they're like, you're telling our secrets and I don't want people to know this. And it's like, I'm not doing it to hurt you. I'm literally doing it because I know that the more you share about yourself, you help others, really come forward and come clean without their own shit that they're struggling with. Right. So the next one, this is so huge, is empowering others to shine. So when we, as lighthouses, when we support others' growth and we support others' independence rather than creating dependence, it's going to change the game. So what's an example of being the lighthouse? You provide resources and provide encouragement for others to find their own path. This could be something as small as like, I do this with my husband. Like he doesn't cook. I mean, he can grill on the barbecue, but he's not like an ingredients guy. He's not like, oh, I'm going to make this salad and it has 7 different components and I'm going to chop it all up and I'm going to go to the grocery store and get all these things. It's not like him. Now, I think his mom, bless her heart, rest in peace, like she did a disservice to him because back in the day, those like the greatest generation, that was his mom and dad, like my grandparents' age, they were very much like, especially the women, they were like, okay, my job is to cook and clean and keep the house and feed the children and do all these things. And then instead of sitting Matt down and saying, oh, today we're going to learn how to cook an omelet. Today we're going to learn how to bake bread. I don't know, whatever. Fuck off. Fill in the blank. She was like, "I'm just gonna do this to him because I'm gonna show him that I love him through my actions." And now my husband can't boil a fucking pot of water. Matt, I love you, but you can't. And then I've perpetuated the bad behavior because I'm such a great cook and I'm really good at all the things when it comes to like food and ingredients. And that's just part of my wheelhouse that I do everything. And then like there's a day where maybe I don't feel so well or I'm exhausted and I'm just like, damn, I wish my husband would just step up for me. I have to empower him to shine, meaning like when he does barbecue, I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so good." And I speak victory into him because it's going to make him want to do it more and more and more. And maybe, I take him aside and I say, "Hey, today we're going to cook together. And I'm going to show you how to make chicken parm or whatever." Because he should be able to, if God forbid anything happened to me, how would he take care of himself? I ask him that all the time. He's like, "I would just order out." And I'm like, "Well, that's not healthy because I know you're going to make really bad decisions. And you're going to order chicken parm for, breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack, right? And martinis with blue cheese stuffed olives." I'm like, "That's fine once a week. But if you're eating like that every day, you're going to end up with fucking Dr. Noirdian on 600-pound life. And then you're going to lose 30 pounds in 1 month." And I don't want that for him. Okay. But I have to provide the encouragement to him, provide the resources to him so that they can figure it out on their own. So he can like be like, "Oh, I know how to make this thing. I can cook." Because it's not that he can't do it. He's not a fucking dingling. I mean, sometimes he can be a dingling, but he's not a total idiot, right? He's fucking very smart. But I have, and his mother, we've disempowered him by doing it for him all the time, right? Like the other day, he said to me, "Can I put these pants in with darks?" I'm like, "They're very dark purple." "Yes." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to teach him this is how you do laundry." And I know this is so petty, guys. You're like, "Katie, God, this is like really?" Yes, because this is what most women and their husbands fight about. You know, they have to make so many decisions during the day. And then every time Matt opens the fucking refrigerator and he says, "Where's the ketchup?" It is literally sitting right in front of his face. Whose fault is that? Mine, right? When he's like, "I'm hungry," and he's looking at me like, "You want to cook something?" And I'm like, "I have worked 13 hours today. I don't want to cook shit. You should go cook because you had a day off," or whatever. It's about giving people the resources to be proactive. And you know what? I'm telling you right now, when he does cook something, he is so proud of himself. He's like, "Wow, I did a really good job." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did. See, you can do it. You can do it, Peter. You're flying." It's like, God, I mean, we're making a world of little Peter Pan boys. And then we wonder why, everyone's toxically masculine or we're surrounded by a bunch of beta soy boy bitches. And all the women that I know are like, where have all the good men gone? It's like, we fucking killed them all. We made them try to be little baby bitch friends, and they're supposed to be manly fucking men. So I know I'm off on a tangent right now, but obviously you can see I'm struggling with some things, not only in my marriage, but like just in general. I can't tell you how many clients I have that are like, "My husband doesn't do shit." And I'm like, "Do you want to fuck him?" And they're like, "Not really." And I'm like, "It's probably why." Because like my love language is acts of service. Most women's are. Just saying for all the men out there that are listening to this podcast. All right, we're moving on. We're not gonna bash the men folk anymore. We've done enough. Okay. The next one is to be a lighthouse. We're gonna maintain a calm, focused presence, right? Remember I was talking about the lighthouse before? It's not like, "Hey, boats, ah, ha," it's having a fucking anxiety attack, right? No, it's just in its beautiful, foundational, grounded energy, shining its light to the boats. So we're gonna stay centered always amidst chaos. And we're going to provide stability for myself, yourself, and others. When you are that lighthouse, when you are that like foundationally grounded person, it makes other people feel so good around you, makes other people feel so safe, right? So we're going to practice mindfulness and we're going to practice self-control and we are going to be a steady influence during all crises. It's just bottom line. And the last thing that we're going to do to be the lighthouse is we're going to share our wisdom and we are going to share our perspective. We're going to offer insights that help others see the bigger picture, and we are going to foster clarity and direction. So that may mean giving thoughtful advice that encourages reflection and growth in others, right? That's so huge. Before I go on, because we have some more really juicy stuff here on the Ambitious podcast, I want to talk about one of our Ambitious podcast sponsors. That's Hume, and that's the Bod Pot. And this Ambitious podcast, the official sponsor is Hume. And if you're serious about optimizing your health and achieving your fitness goals, I've got something you'll want to hear about. I've partnered with Hume, the revolutionary at-home body composition measurement system. And with Hume, you can get an accurate DEXA scan right from your own home at a fraction of the cost of traditional scans. And thanks to Hume, all of my clients and listeners are able to track their progress more precisely, whether they're looking to shed fat, build muscle, up their bone density. If you're over 40, that's what you really need to be focusing on right now, or just get a clearer picture of their overall health. The Hume Bod Pod scale has been a game changer in helping my clients unlock their best shape ever. And here's the best part for you. If you use the code that is provided in our show notes at hume.com, you're going to receive $20 off your purchase. That's right. Take control of your health today with cutting edge technology that's accessible and affordable. Don't wait. Get your body measurement spot on. Set your fitness goals and crush them. Head on over to hume.com and use the code. Your best shape is just a measurement away. And I can't tell you how much that Hume has already helped all of my ladies at KBMC Wellness who are doing the positive protocol. They're so excited because they're not just having weight loss goals on the scale, but they're having non-weight loss scale goals, meaning like their body composition is totally changing, their bone density is going up, their metabolic age is going down, and their adipose tissue is going down, their visceral fat, which is big problem. That's the fat that can wrap around our internal organs. That is going to really be the harbinger of what's going to happen to your health as we get older. And that's where a lot of the comorbidities come from: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and just metabolic disease in general usually stems from a lot of visceral fat. And I just love when the ladies come in, they're like, oh my God, my metabolic health went down on my Hume last night. And we have one at my house, and we also have one at KBMC Wellness that the girls just hop on all the time. And it's just wonderful to watch. So head on over to get your Hume. Okay. All of that being said, right? I talked about, are you the lifeboat or are you the lighthouse? I talked about how to be the lighthouse. Okay. But now I want to get into your psyche. I want to really have you understand why this is happening. Like, where did it come from? Why is this happening? Okay. So here is the thing. People often feel, and I'm definitely one of those people, we often feel that it is our job and our life's purpose to fix others for several psychological and social reasons. So I'm going to go over all of the different reasons, and I want to hear from you. How many of these reasons did you have that you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this? Fuck. I want to know. Okay. All right. You ready? So the first one is, and listen, none of these things are bad. They're loving and kind, but they're not serving you and they're not serving the people that you're trying to quote unquote help. Okay. So the first one is, people truly desire to help and care. And many individuals have a strong empathetic drive and genuinely want to support others. And they believe by fixing other people's problems is the way to show love and the way to show concern. And it's not. Okay. The next one is, they have this sense of responsibility. And a lot of people feel responsible for the well-being of those around them, especially their family, friends, and colleagues. And this can stem from cultural, societal, or personal beliefs that they should be caretakers or helpers. I also think, if you want to get real woo-woo, I think a lot of this comes from our past lives. I think also it's really pushed through in our DNA and our collective experience and our generational cursing, and how things like this and ideas are passed down from generation to generation. And the next one is the need for control and certainty. This is one of my biggest ones. This is the one that I have, I think, the biggest problem with, is fixing others can give people a sense of control over the situation or their environment. And it creates an illusion of certainty in unpredictable circumstances. I know for me, and we're going to get into this in a second, for me, a lot of this comes from my childhood. My childhood was very chaotic. I never knew what the next moment would bring. Lived a lot walking on eggshells, and I've worked on all of this, and I've healed so much of it, and I've had very deep conversations with my family about it. But I still have it in me. I still have this like need for control and certainty because it helps me feel safe. So like that's what I do now, right? I push people to do things that maybe they don't want to do because I'm like, you have to do it because I'm a control freak. And when I was little, it was about like maybe I would clean my room and rearrange my room, or I would try to do really well in school because it was like, at least I can control that because other parts of my life are not controllable. The next one is, I see this a lot in people, is avoidance of their own feelings. So when we focus on fixing others, we can distract ourselves from addressing our own insecurities and our own fears and our own unresolved issues. And helping others can temporarily boost your self-esteem and it can temporarily boost your self-worth, but it's not long term. It's false, it's faux, okay? The next one is they believe that they know better. This happens a lot, and I'm culprit to this too. But a perception that they have the answers or the solutions, especially if they view themselves as capable and competent. And this can lead to the rescue others without advice or interventions. The next one is fear of abandonment or even fear of rejection. And by helping others, they seek approval and connection, and they fear that otherwise they will be rejected or ignored. How many of you out there feel this right now? You're like, oh God, this is so me, right? The next reason is they're conditioned from past experiences. So some people have a personal history of being cared for or conditioned to see helping others as a duty. That's why a lot of people get into service industries. They become nurses, doctors, healers, estheticians, hairstylists, psychologists, therapists, etc. Because something happened in their lives from past experiences that they're like, I have to do this. I have to do this work. I have to save people. And nothing like that is ever going to help you ever. And the last one is they have guilt or they have shame. And a lot of people struggle with both. I do. But feeling that they're responsible if others are struggling, which pushes them to fix them or rescue them. I can't tell you how many times I would look at family or friends or loved ones or exes, and I'd be like, oh, I just have to, I have to help them. I have to fix them. They're really having a hard time. And it's like, no, because then it becomes this codependent enmeshment, and that's not healthy by any means, right? Okay. So here is the next thing that I really want to get into. Where does this come from? Well, I just kind of told you what happened to me, why I'm fucked up. We'll gotta get a little bit deeper onto this right now. But where does it come from? So a lot of times this lifeboat energy over being the lighthouse comes from seeking control in unpredictable situations. This was my thing. I just kind of touched upon it. But a lot of children who experience neglect and chaos, instability, trauma, abuse may learn to try to control their environment by fixing or managing others to create a sense of safety. I am a parentified daughter, and I was almost like parent to my parents when I was growing up, and I still can be sometimes. You can ask my mom. I will give her pep talks and all kinds of stuff, and she'll laugh at me and say, "Oh, how much was this for this session?" And, it's like, "With hope the check's in the mail, babe. I won't hold my breath." But I still do that, and it's a bad habit, and it's almost become like with me and my mom, it's almost become this thing where it's like she almost like expects it from me, and it's like a time for us to bond and to talk, but it's like, am I really helping her? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe I'm helping her put a Band-Aid on the thing that she's struggling with for in the interim, but long term, no, right? This can also be from being put in at a young age as a caretaker, right? As a caretaker role in position. So, traumatized or emotionally neglected children might become conditioned to take on caretaker roles early on, and they feel responsible for the well being of their family members and others around them, right? Come on, how many of you out there right now are shaking your heads? A lot of you, right? The next one is they developed guilt and responsibility. So if a child's needs are overlooked and dismissed, they may internalize a belief that they must fix things to earn love or approval, leading to over responsibility as adults. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. The next one is they may have underwent negative reinforcement. So when helping others in childhood, it resulted in positive attention, right? They were praised for it. Validation or avoidance of punishment, which then reinforces the idea that fixing is their duty and they're going to get something from it. Same. All of these things that I'm saying to you is me to a T. The next one is fear of abandonment. So, childhood trauma related to abandonment or neglect can lead to an excessive need to be needed, prompting someone to overextend in helping others to secure connection and belonging. Yeah, it's like if I help them, they won't abandon me because they're going to need me. It's like nothing can be further from the truth. And the last one is learned behavior, right? So from a young age, they may have saw that fixing people as a way to gain control, safety, or affection, which becomes ingrained as a survival mechanism. So listen, if this is you and you're shaking your head at home, oh my God, this is me. We can fix it. And I'm going to teach you how. But before I teach you how, I'm going to talk about our second ambitious podcast sponsor, and that is Keto Chow. Are you on a quest for easy, delicious, and keto-friendly fuel? Well, we've got some exciting news. Keto Chow, the leading meal replacement company dedicated to supporting your ketogenic lifestyle, is now an official sponsor of the Ambitious Podcast. Imagine a quick, convenient way to get all your essential nutrients from healthy fats and proteins to vitamins and minerals in one yummy shake. That's Keto Chow. Whether you're crushing your workouts, busy with work, or just looking for a tasty way to stay on track, Keto Chow is your go-to hero. And the best part? To celebrate, Keto Chow is offering 10% off of all products just for you, our loyal, ambitious listener. Just click the link in the show notes and use the code at checkout. So why wait? Fuel your ambition, stay keto, and save big with Keto Chow, the meal revolution that keeps you energized, satisfied, and thriving on your journey. I just bought a Ninja Creamy last week, and I have been making the most incredible protein ice cream as a little tasty treat. So I use my Keto Chow. Last week, I did the pistachio flavor. I love pistachio ice cream. I love pistachio flavored anything, but I use my Keto Chow, the pistachio, and I got a chocolate shake, and I just mix them up with some, I actually used Califia unsweetened, I think it's called Califia unsweetened coconut milk, and I used a little bit of heavy cream, and I mixed that with the Keto Chow shake, and then I froze it overnight, and then I put it in my Ninja Creamy, and it is the most incredible freaking ice cream. It's crazy, and there's literally no carbohydrates, and that's what I do at night after I take my little gummy and I'm feeling a little munchies instead of just like going ham on shit I don't really have bad stuff in my house, but I'll always find something, okay? Instead, I just have my little Keto Chow and my Ninja Creamy, and it's like the most delectable thing, and I get all my protein, and there's no carbohydrates, and I don't spike my insulin before I go to bed, and I feel amazing. Okay. Thank you, Keto Chow. Love you. All right, here we go. This is gonna be pretty intense, but listen, this is what we gotta do, okay? So the patterns from our childhood trauma, which have created this lifeboat over the lighthouse energy that we're all bringing to the table, when we're trying to heal, it often involves recognizing where the fucked up shit started in the first place. So, recognizing these origins, establishing boundaries, developing healthier ways to relating to others, and obviously, coaching, therapy, any kind of support is going to be really effective in addressing these deep-seated, rooted problems, hangups, limiting beliefs, hypnotic rhythm, groove patterns in our brains, etc. But I'm going to now teach you ways that I have been using to heal from this, because listen, this is not healthy. You have to heal from this, because if you go for the rest of your life living like this, you are going to have a shitty, shitty, shitty life. And I don't want that for you and bitch. Okay. So what are we going to do? going forward, how are we going to heal from this? And how are we going to always be the lighthouse and never the lifeboat anymore? Number one, we're going to lead by example. We're going to consistently demonstrate integrity, kindness. We're going to just demonstrate patience and resilience in all of our actions. And people are going to be influenced more by what they observe in us as the role model more than what they're told. The next one is we're going to always practice authenticity. We're going to be genuine. We're going to be honest about our own struggles and growth. I'm going to give you an example. I had a really crazy week and I wanted to catch up with one of my clients, Ariella, and I love her and I freaking love talking to her. She's one of my favorite people in the world. And this week was so crazy. And I kept saying to her, like, oh, I'm going to get on a call. I'm going to get on a call. I'm going to get a call. And I wasn't trying to blow her off. I like the end of the day, I would just like come home from work and I was so tired and I was like, fuck. And it just got crazy. And then on Tuesday, Matt and I had like, you ever have a day of with your husband where you're like, we're going to get so much shit accomplished and we're going to have such a great day. And then you fight all fucking day. And Matt and I don't fight. It had a lot to do with like the Aries supermoon. And we were just under a lot of pressure with certain things that were going on in our businesses and in our lives. And we just fucked each other up for 24 hours straight. Okay. On a Tuesday. And I had texted her on a Wednesday and I was like, girl, I just want to let you know, I love you. I am so sorry. This week has been so fucked up. I did not mean to jerk you around. Now, obviously, this isn't like a call where she's paying me. This is like a call where it's just I'm catching up with her as a friend and as a a colleague, right? And I said, I just want to be honest with you. Like Matt and I fought all day yesterday and I meant to call you on the phone, but I was so fucking upset and I just was so like beside myself. And she was like, girl, thank you for being so honest. I hope you have a better day today. Let's catch up on Friday. I didn't lie to her. I didn't spank my monkey. I didn't jerk her off. I told her like, yo, I'm a human being and me and my husband were like beating the shit out of each other yesterday. Not physically, but verbally and mentally and emotionally. And she was like, I mean, I haven't spoken to her yet, but I'm like, she probably appreciates me more for being honest because I think that sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh, Katie's, perfect. She has it all together. I'm like, I actually don't. I try. I have good tools and good coping skills, but I have normal human muggle problems just like everyone else in the world. So we're going to really always practice authenticity because authenticity to me just feels so much better. It's like the people who matter don't mind and the people who mind don't matter. And if she was like, well, fuck you, I wouldn't have her in my life. But I know her and I know that she respects that shit. And she did. And now I feel like I'm closer to her and maybe she feels more close to me because I'm sharing that with her. Right. So we're going to always be genuine and honest about our struggles and our growth, and we're going to share our journey. And by sharing our journeys, and it shows our vulnerability and encourages others to do the same, right? So if whatever you want in your life, give it and you're going to get it in return. The next one is we're going to focus on our own growth only. So we're going to continuously work on developing positive habits and skills and a growth mindset. And our personal transformation can inspire others more than just direct advice. Again, be the lighthouse, be the role model. Don't talk about it, be about it. The next one is we're going to show compassion and we're going to show respect. We're going to treat others with kindness and understanding, regardless of their current behavior. And respectful behavior at the end of the day fosters a safe environment for growth, right? And connection and becoming better friends and having deeper relationships that are more meaningful. The next one, we got to maintain consistency. So we're going to be reliable in all of our actions, right? So if we're going to say we're going to do something, we're going to fucking do it. And we're going to be consistent. And consistency builds trust and credibility as a role model. And it truly does. The next one is we're going to encourage and support each other. We're going to offer encouragement without judgment, and we're going to celebrate others' successes and progress without trying to control their life contract and try to control their journey and outcomes. Bottom line. The next one is we're going to stay calm and we're going to stay composed always, right? I always tell people, be like a palm tree. You ever see a palm tree in a storm? It like sways, it can touch the ground and it can bounce back up. You don't want to be this rigid tree because the rigid trees are what snaps and breaks and goes on your power lines and knocks your power out for a week. You want to be that flexible, malleable, beautiful tree that palm tree that goes all the way to the ground and bounces back up, right? So when any storm comes, you're going to sway, you're going to bend, but you're never going to break. So by doing this, we're going to handle conflicts and challenges with grace and with patience. And calmness during difficult times always sets a powerful example. Look at all the people that over over history who stayed so calm and composed during the craziest wars and all these things. They ended up going down in history as like the best thing ever because they show grace under fire, right? The next one is we're going to share our values and we're going to always share our vision. So we're going to clearly communicate what matters most to us through our actions, and our values become a guiding light that others can follow intuitively. The next one is we're going to be inspired, not controlling, by inspiring others through your passion and dedication rather than trying to push or demand change, because people are more likely to become motivated to change when they see genuine enthusiasm and purpose. And the last way that we're going to be the lighthouse, always over the lifeboat, is we're going to continuously practice self-reflection. So we're going to regularly evaluate our own behavior and our own growth. And we're going to, use that self-awareness that's going to allow us to model humility and continuous improvement. Okay. So all that being said, and this is going to round it out because I think I did a pretty damn good job over just telling you all of the things. So what are the consequences when you are being the lifeboat? So when you're being the lifeboat, this is what's going to happen to you. And I don't know about you, but I don't want this for myself. And that is burnout and exhaustion. That is a loss of self-identity. It's a resentment and frustration. It's diminished boundaries. It's reduced self-care and reduced personal growth. So when you constantly give energy to others' problems, that can lead to emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion. Over focusing on others' issues can cause neglect of your own needs, desires, and well-being. And and this is one of my biggest things, feeling unappreciated or powerless to truly help can breed resentment or frustration over time. I was talking to Michaela McLean today when I was rucking, and she was like, I feel sad today. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so sad too. I was telling her how yesterday Matt and I were fighting all day, and she was like, oh my God. And she was telling me some of her stories and whatever. And then I don't know how we got onto it, but I was saying how lately, one of the things that I've been really working on is like not feeling that resentment and frustration, because that's like my go-to thing. Like when I am not getting my needs met, I feel so resentful and I feel so frustrated. And I feel so angry. And I told her how, like recently I was doing some deals with people, and they were kind of, in the past, they would just be these verbal agreements like, I'm going to do this for you and you're going to do this for me. And that would never work out because I noticed that I would always give more to the person and I wouldn't get that reciprocation. And I would get so fucking fed up and frustrated and resentful. And I just hated the person. And now what I do, and I was telling her this, I was like, I write up agreements. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this for you. You're going to do this for me. I'm going to sign it. You're going to sign it. We're all in agreement. And in 3 months, we're going to go over the agreement and see how we feel about it. And she was like, that's so fucking smart. And I said to her, I said, ever since I've been doing this, I feel so much better about people. And I feel so much more powerful within my own self. And for me, that's a win. The next thing is repeated attempts to fix people can erode personal boundaries, leading to codependency and enabling behaviors. Like I was saying before, that codependent enmeshment. And focusing outward may cause neglect of personal development, hobbies, and essential self-care. Okay. So what are the consequences now for the people who you're always trying to fix? Because this is just as important as your own consequences for yourself, right? So what's going to happen is, number one, the person that you're trying to fix is going to have dependence and lack of independence. They're going to have reduced self-efficacy. They're going to have resentment and frustration towards you. They're going to have stalled growth and stalled learning. And they're going to have potential drain of all their relationships. So when the person is relying on someone else to solve their problems, it can hinder their own growth, resilience, and problem-solving skills. You're going to also if you're the person that is always continuously trying to be helped and trying to be fixed, you're going to feel incapable of managing their own challenges. And that's going to lower your confidence and it's going to lower your sovereign autonomy, which is sad as fuck. And it's going to make people feel smothered. It's going to make people feel misunderstood if their needs or boundaries aren't respected. And constant rescue is going to prevent them from learning essential life skills and developing resilience. And the dynamics are going to become imbalanced between you and that person because it's going to lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional strain on both sides of the aisle, right? So when we, as empathetic, wonderful, loving, kind people, become the lighthouse over the lifeboat, and we give people the tools that they need to be their best selves, we are doing so much more service for them because now they are realizing that they were born with everything inside themselves to be the best version of themselves. And to me, being the lighthouse over the lifeboat is so integral. It's so important. And it's such a gift, not only for the person, but for yourself. So I hope that this podcast today brought so much service and so much value. And if it did, please share it on all your social media platforms. And don't forget to tag me. And in the meantime, don't forget to stay ambitious. And I will see you next Tuesday.